Good afternoon, John.
Hi, Marty.
John Donovan, my podcast partner,
hmm
broadcasting from the greater San Diego area. Marty Keller here in greater Sacramento.
hmm
Uh, it's February. It's our first podcast of the month, and always good to be with you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's good to be with you too, Marty.
Lots of stuff always happening in this practice that we're up to. Um, I'd like to preface that, if I could, just by saying that I remember when we first started working together, you were facilitating our men's group. And I have specific memories of sitting in your place in West Sac, and you would say something. I don't know what would have been the prompt, but you would say, "I'm here to learn more about myself."
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there going, "What a bunch of bullshit! What is that? You're here to facilitate us and fix us. What is this?"
ah, fooled
And
you.
it took me years. It took me years to get that you were not only serious, but that that was an authentic statement in the moment.
Yep.
And so I say that in preface because every time you and I get together, things have changed.
Yep.
Even though it may not be dramatic, it could be a dramatic change. It could be just we each of us maybe noticed something about ourselves we never saw before, and like that was my takeaway. I'm here to learn more about myself. And as a matter of fact, I was in a conversation with someone this morning, and I just threw an offhand comment. I said, "Well, I intend to learn something new the day I die." And
hmm
she's like, "What? Let me write that down."
Yep.
I said, "Yeah, why not? Keep it going."
There you go.
So with that, just say, what have you learned that's there's a couple things I'd like to know. Number one, what anything you'd like to share about that you've learned, and then secondly, I'd like to talk about um, some of the enhancements that you've been bringing to the practice on Saturday morning, and
Oh,
the idea of the tree and so forth.
the what I've learned is they're both the same. I was talking to a client or in a group, I'm not sure, and I heard myself say, emotions and feelings are the portal to imagination, inspiration, and intuition. Um, and when I said it, I said, somebody write that down. It's simply another way to, I'm going to say better, I don't like better, but another way to express what I know in a more succinct um, manner, which creates a picture in my mind and hopefully creates a picture or a desire in somebody else's mind to understand that better, or maybe a light went on, using the word portal, like wormhole. It's like wormholes are kind of esoteric. You go in a wormhole and you bend the fabric of the universe, and you get way over there in a little short period of time. And I went way over there in a very short period of time. So the other thing I got, which I think is significant, is that um, staying in my emotions um, create a transmission, and um, imagination, inspiration, intuition. When I heard the woman say transition, it caught my attention because I had no idea what she was talking about.
Transmission, you mean? Or
Transmission, right?
yeah.
Transmission. And then I put it together that emotions and feelings are the portal to imagination, inspiration, and intuition, which is the transmission of this esoteric, authentic, in the moment, pertinent utterance that is best suited for expansion and growth for everybody involved, for the person saying it and for the person hearing it. And that transmission, some people, one of my teachers defines God or Christ as the human imagination. So who is Christ? Oh, the human imagination. And so here we are. Now let's sort that out. let's have this conversation about what you heard me say, because it's certainly not the picture I have in my mind. And as we dialogue, we both grow these pictures and expand, and it's just exciting. We transmit and come to a deep awareness of myself as a human being. The capacity of the human condition, which is generally a statement of lack, the human condition, we talk, oh, we're not, oh, we're flesh is weak, and we're no, the capacity of the human condition, which is the creator of miracles, the manifestors of, I want to use an expletive right now, I won't, the manifestors of our reality. It's like, one of the things that just popped in my head is, a long time ago, I heard that we're all delusional. And I couldn't understand how 7.5 billion people could all be delusional. It's like, how do you do that? Well, then I got the idea of race consciousness. And we believe that somebody else has power to harm us or to make us feel something. So I thought, oh, if we're all delusional, I'm going to pick a good delusion, one I like. And so I started picking my own delusion, which led me to what I know now, was what I've been graced with, the information I've been graced with, to give this information to as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time, and say it in a way that is even more effective than I said it 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So yeah, it's exciting stuff.
In the 1980s, I think it was, Lily Tomlin had a one-woman show. It was called Search for Intelligent Life in the Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe.
Yeah.
And she just had all these one-liners, and one of my favorite one-liners from that says, "What is reality but a collective hunch?"
Oh yeah, huh?
Which is not far from what is reality but a collective delusion.
Right. The other one is, every scientific proven theory started with a presupposition.
Yep.
With an assumption.
Yep. Without exception.
Without exception. It's like, oh, how does that work?
But let's bring it back around to what you said.
Okay.
So this is how that worked. Here's my assumption, my hypothesis is that every scientific inquiry starts with a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the feeling is the portal to imagination, inspiration, and intuition, imagination, inspiration, intuition then get fed through the rational mind. Now, the rational mind tries to contain all of it. The good news is that the inspiration and intuition are not containable by the rational mind, but the rational mind still takes that and turns it into testable propositions.
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts with, there's the story about Einstein, who, when he came up with the special theory of relativity, have you ever heard the story about his imagination, how he did this?
Yeah, but say it again, please.
He was struck by the imaginative challenge of seeing what the universe looked like from the perspective of a photon of light traveling at 186,000 miles a second. He said, well, we're not traveling like that, so we see but how does a photon of light see the universe as it's speeding through the universe? And he was just curious. He had this feeling that there was something missing, and he wanted to go find it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So just underscore your proposition here, and then it initiated that transmission of what became the general or the special theory of relativity, and that became the general theory of relativity.
Yes.
I'll bet you Einstein himself would say, much like Mozart said of his music, that it came to him from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't born with it somehow residing in his DNA or in his mimetic psychic structure. He became a transmitter of this information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine was recovery is cool. And what I'm finding in myself is I'm just shifting my patterns of behavior to something else. I'm still stuck in a pattern of behavior. And the pattern of behavior I find myself in, it wasn't worse or better. And I was more aware of it, which made it more in my face. And I thought, well, isn't this what I'm not supposed to have? If I get sober and I do forgive everybody and do what the program says, shouldn't I be somewhere else than where I find myself? So I asked, what's the next level of recovery? And I got blank stares and like, what are you talking about? Don't worry about that. Just let go, let God, one day at a time, which are all sage information. And I was still bugged by, there's something missing. What is it I'm missing? And throughout my experience up till about 10 years in recovery, I had an experience that brought a big piece to that, which was my experience at my first day at my own violence intervention class, where I just listened to the instructor talk. And I'll go through a little bit of it. He said, this is a class for violent men, then explain emotional, verbal, and physical, and set it all out. He says, if you're not violent, that's okay. You're just in the wrong class. You can go. So I found myself sitting there, not going because I did these infractions of emotional verbal. So I'm out of denial. And that's what he said. So everybody left in the room is out of denial. We are violent men. And then he went, accountability. And as soon as he said that word, I felt this flush go through me. And I got, I didn't understand it. He's showing the way to enlightenment. And so I just sat down, started listening. And he went through accountability, no blame, stop the minimizing. If you violate somebody, that is hurtful. Don't make it less hurtful by your words. Like, I only hit her a little bit, or I hit her with an open hand. That's minimizing the other person's pain and my pain. And then don't build a posse of people saying you're right, to prove you're right. Build a bunch of, tell the guys all that she's doing so they're on your side now. So if you stop those three, you're out of denial. Stop the other three. No blame, no minimizing, no collusion. I thought, holy cow. And I sat there for 83 weeks. It was a 52-week program. I didn't get it until 83 weeks. And I actually really, to say the truth, I still didn't get it. And he asked me to facilitate in the jails. And my first response inside my head was, hell no. And I heard come out of my mouth, okay. And I thought, what the hell? What? Go? Oh, where? Oh, into the jails. And I just went. I went and I stayed and I struggled and I did it wrong and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, all that stuff. And here I am. Imagination, inspiration. I was inspired to go. I did not want to go. I did not want to go. I was inspired to go. As I could not, I wouldn't say no. I just found myself walking in that direction. I remember the first class. He did the first class with me. He says, "You're good, John." Now, whoa. Wait, whoa. What do you mean I'm good? He says, well, your next class is 2 days from now, and you're going to be doing 3 classes in the evening, and these are the times. Good luck. And there I went. I went into a learning space. Yeah. So, wow. Imagination, inspiration, intuition through the emotional feeling body. When I say emotional body, that's bigger than my physical body, my outline of my skin. My feeling body is in this body, but it has access to things that are bigger than my body. See, hear, taste, touch, smell. And there's a whole field of information that I can access through my emotional, big, and feeling body, which gives me information about where I'm at when I'm there. Sage information. Like in the classroom, these guys are scary. Oh, yeah. Okay, wait a minute. What do I need? What's my recourse? And then taking a breath and acting from that place. I wasn't not scared. I was like petrified. And I didn't have his way pat. I didn't have his sequence of how he did it. And I knew he was asking me to do it exactly like he did it. So I did the best I could for a year and a half. And I finally went to him and said, I can't do it the way you do it. I got to talk. I got to add things to it. And I know you're paying me to do it exactly the way you want me to. So I quit. And then when I quit, the people that were running the program did an exit interview with me and said, why are you quitting? And I said, well, this is good material, but they're not hearing what I'm saying. And I would like to have a process group where I sit with the men and just process what all, and not just the violence intervention, the relapse prevention, the drug and alcohol, the psychosomatic, and talk to them about what they're hearing and say and what that means to them. And from that experience, I created this body of work I call intentional living. It took 15 years of me showing up. So there you go.
Was thinking as you were sharing about, um, you talked about the first day and your first experience facilitating on your own, and your mentor was there with you, and then he said sayonara.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how that must have felt, how all of it must have felt.
It was terrifying.
Yeah,
And I just took a breath. See, I didn't know all this
right.
emotions and feelings are the portal to imagine. I didn't know
But
all
you
that.
didn't.
I didn't know how to articulate that.
Have you read Joseph Campbell?
Yeah, I read him, but he gave me inklings. It's like the head knowledge of all this
Right,
stuff.
right, right.
So so I stayed, and I want to call it the grace of God. That yeah, yeah.
One of the myriad of gifts that I get from the intentional living is really right there at the very beginning of the tree. What's the truth? How do I feel? And it's really instructive to me that not only from my own experience, but being in the group with the other guys and then becoming a facilitator, um, how difficult most people find it to be in our body
Oh my God.
and to feel. And we're trained to go right to a thought about our feeling,
Yes.
and so we've come to learn, we come to understand that's a defense mechanism of our wounded child who doesn't want to feel anything but what it decides is safe to feel. And but it's just instructive to me, and it's not, it's men and women. I mean, women are supposed to be more sensitive and feeling and so forth and so on. Well, maybe in general that's true, but in this work, the unwillingness to actually feel what's going on seems to be universal.
Yes.
And again,
Yeah.
nothing's wrong with that. It took me a long time to be able to just go right to a feeling when you or someone else would ask me, "How are you feeling?"
Hmm.
It
And
took practice, like you were saying earlier. Practice. Oh my gosh.
feelings are an experience of a frequency. Some of the feelings have words I can describe. or I can guess, make my best guess. I feel relief, or my term is, when I do the tree and I say the truth, I feel a sloughing, like an uncovering, an opening, and I can name it. Sometimes I don't have to, just experience the what I call sloughing or relief, which is a um, healing. It's like that truth. For example, I'm mean. I really don't want to say I'm mean. I don't want to admit I'm mean, but the truth is I've become mean in my patterns of avoidance and behavior. And when I say that truth, there's something in that vibration that my vocal cords make that resonate with that wounded child. It's like a validation. Yes, I see you're mean. I see you're mad. I see you're upset. I see you're full of resentment, and rightly so. And this is all on a frequency level. I can feel it now. I can feel the sloughing now because I just addressed my inner child with blame-free, judgment-free truth. I can see that that's true for you. And then I break through into what do I want? And, oh, shoot, I don't want to be mean. No, what do you want? Imagination, inspiration, intuition, and something will come. Oh, I'm mean. I want kindness. I intend to be kind, and that's the um, transmission of my source energy, source knowing. You can call it God. You can call it quantum field. You can call it energy. I don't know. And it expresses through me. And then when I first started this, it is my intent to be kind. Then I run back up into my head and go, how the hell? What am I going to do? What is kind? I don't know. And do I need to be kind to those people who are assholes? And all this stuff run through my head. And I would just like, thank you for sharing. It is my intent to be kind. And what I found is that that intent is like a command frequency encoded with what kindness is. I don't know. Kindness is a frequency which goes into my subconscious and imprints on all and heals, takes the edge off of some of the trauma because of the validation, imprints in my subconscious, just like the trauma imprinted in my subconscious is like a mold. I'm not good enough. I come up to my adult life exemplifying not good enough. So I put in there kind, it makes an imprint of that frequency power. And I find myself, I call it being blindsided by different behavior, blindsided by healthy behavior, or being blindsided with an act of kindness that came through imagination, inspiration, intuition. Wow. Wow. I'm glad we're recording this.
Feeling
Yeah.
inspired, are you?
Oh my God. This is a state of being I fall into a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the imprint of not good enough, I was in that a lot, and I was good at it. I was really good at not being enough and showing people. Now and I want to say no credit to John Donovan or the persona that I have built around John Donovan. This is my ego sense of person is now in alignment with that source, imagination, inspiration, intuition, and it flows through me. And I'll say something in a group, or I'll say something now like, I'm glad we're recording this, because it surprises me what's coming out of my head. It's like, oh, that was profound. Thank you. It's like, and I have my ego, John Donovan, in alignment. Truth. Painful, truth hurts. And this sense of freedom to express through this channel. It's amazing. It's amazing, amazing.
Well, it is the next step on the journey. If when you read my book, and this is this is from Ken Wilber, an integral theory is that there is the level of consciousness called the transpersonal. So the level of consciousness beyond the personal. So personal consciousness is essentially what modern culture aspires to, which is I'm authentically me, and I
Yes.
know my boundaries. I know what's inside of me, so I can recognize what's outside of me. Transpersonal is there is no boundary between me and everything else, and that yes, I have this, like you were saying, I have this body and this psychic ego that's necessary to maneuver through, nuts and bolts reality, dimensional reality, but there's this is not who I am ultimately. This is just a vehicle.
Yeah. And
And
the way,
to other people who are also not who they seem to be. They're us in that particular uh,
yeah.
expression.
the the way I pictured it, the way I hold that concept is before my recovery, my sphere of concern was limited. It was me, my truck, my gun rack, stay the fuck away. That was my sphere of concern. Now my sphere of concern has grown to be inclusive of other on a
Right.
global, I'm gonna go be bold and say cosmic level. It's like it's not just me, and I affect the whole. My decisions, my choice to be moral comes easily because if I do this to you, I'm actually at the same moment doing it to myself. So
Right.
I don't need a list of rules to treat you kindly. It just comes out of me, out of that free will we talk about, to include not just this small sphere of concern, but the bigger sphere of concern, which is everybody on the planet, actually.
And it all starts, however, at home.
Yes.
So it starts with me learning to give myself that concern without blame or judgment. That's the critical, that if I can't, when I'm unable to separate myself from blame or judgment, then I can't see myself, um, quote, objectively, unquote. So I can't love those parts of me that I've chosen to hate. I can't,
Correct.
I can't befriend the enemy within. And yet, as Jesus said, love thy enemies. That's the only way through this is to
Yeah.
love the internal enemies.
Hmm.
And I learn to do that. It starts automatically extending externally, like you were saying.
Yeah. And one of the quotes from 12 Step is when you're in your own head, you're in enemy territory. So
And yet, here's the irony: is that as we do this work, we cease to be in enemy territory.
exactly.
Something shifts, and mostly what shifts is, as we've discussed in other talks, mostly what shifts is our awareness and our ability to choose something different.
Hmm.
So if I choose to befriend that enemy territory, I've automatically um, stripped the power of the word enemy, the emotional power of warning, danger, stay away, fear,
Yeah.
into curiosity or even affection or even compassion. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's that part of me. This goes back to the gun rack identity. There's a part of me that has this. Oh, I wonder what that's about. I
Hmm.
wonder if that's it. Or I wonder if there's more, if I can create that connection to myself or that identity, maybe what else could I create?
Hmm.
So these
Yeah.
things, instead of being a source of irritation or worse, enmity, they become a source of affection and learning and teaching.
Hmm.
Like,
Yes.
and that goes back to what we remarked at the top of the conversation. I do this so I can learn more about myself.
Hmm. I used to think the concepts of compassion and unconditional love were for some other special people. they could handle that, but poor me, it's like I don't have the capacity. I'm not a saint, nor am I a guru, nor am I an enlightened being, and so that all this compassion stuff was for them, and I don't know. I had to wait in line. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but yeah,
Well, you were thinking, and I'll
yeah,
be so bold, you weren't thinking, but your little kid was experiencing,
there you go. I agree.
I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to be validated because
Hmm.
I'm so defective
Yeah,
that there's nothing that can be done to change it.
right. Yeah, I'm broken. I am. One of the most insidious concepts in there was I believed I was my behavior.
Right.
And my behavior comes from that constellation of subconscious trauma and or healing. The behavior manifests from that. So the behavior before my recovery manifested from I'm not enough, which alcoholic, codependent, violent, rife with avoidant behaviors, workaholic, sexaholic, all that stuff. Um, so
So
now
that's
rife with other stuff.
so that's why again, we've talked about this before, but I just want to say it again, that when you came up with and you started sharing with us in the men's group all those many years ago, the concept of I give myself permission,
Oh
that
yeah,
was the other radical. So the two radical things: one, no blame, no judgment; two, I give myself permission. I give myself permission to criticize myself. I give
there you
myself
go.
permission to see myself as worthless, as defective.
Yep.
It's I, to this day, John, I can't really describe the power of that because as I came to understand it, that's an act of unconditional love. And
Yeah.
that's what little Marty's been looking for.
Yes.
So when I say to him, in effect, to him, I give you permission to hate yourself,
Hmm.
he's receiving unconditional love.
Yes. Yes.
And oftentimes a little guy doesn't know what to do with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
except to feel relief. It goes back to
Yeah.
what you were saying earlier. There's a sense of relief and when I use this as a facilitator, and people are, they're full of their unhappiness and their anxiety and their self-criticism, and I'll just say, well, would you be willing to give yourself permission to be utterly defective?
Yeah.
And that this kind of thing that people do, like
Hmm.
I did, um, and oftentimes they'll start laughing
Hmm.
because they're intuitively get going again, back to emotions, feelings are the portal to imagination, inspiration, intuition. Like they're getting it on an intuitive level, even if they can't yet explain it on an analytical level.
Correct.
And they don't
Correct.
need to.
No, there's no need to. No, no need to explain yourself or defend yourself.
Yeah. So I'll say, okay, you gave yourself permission. So how do you feel? And we just go do the tree,
Yep.
the accountability tree. What's the truth? The truth is I give myself permission to be defective. And in fact, I give myself permission to feel good about being defective.
Yeah.
And then I would say, well, how do you feel when you say that? And whatever it is, whatever the feeling state is, that you can go into it. I feel lighter in my chest. I feel my heart's beating faster, whatever it is. And then
Hmm.
we do the second part. It's like, okay, so what do you want?
Hmm. I got that working with a heroin addict who we both knew that as soon as he got out of jail, he was going back to his heroin. But he would tell me that he wasn't, and he told me this like he wasn't going to do it. And I told him what I was hearing him say, which was in the back of his mind. Go see his parole officer. Tell the parole officer I'm going to get a house and a job, and then go get with the guy that has the bags of heroin, and he'd get loaded. He said, "Yeah, yeah." And then I came up with this: I hold value as a human being, and his term for himself was gutter snipe junkie. Yeah, very derogatory.
Mhm.
I'm a gutter snipe junkie, And then I said, and I give myself permission to use heroin. And he looks at me and he goes, why the hell would I do that? I said, I don't know. What you're doing working for you? Placate the old guy. Just say it and see what happens. And so he said it. I hold value as a human being. I'm a gutter snipe junkie. And I give myself permission to use heroin. The class was over. He came back a couple days later. And I said, dude, how'd that work for you? He said, John, I hold value as a human being. I'm a gutter snipe junkie. And I give myself permission to use heroin. Just not today. And I went, oh, wow. That man called me for 2 years. I don't know what happened after 2 years, but he called me for 2 years going, thank you, thank you, thank you. Powerful.
What 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 people sometimes don't get initially, when I give myself permission to use heroin, let's say, it's exactly what he picked up on. Giving myself permission doesn't mean I have to.
Right.
It just is validating what's going on for me in the moment without blame or judgment. I want some heroin.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you
Okay,
do. Yeah.
got it. It's just like a little kid saying, I want that extra cookie. Well,
Yep.
yes, you do.
Yes, you do. And you're not going to have it.
And you can't have it. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If I were you, I'd probably want it too.
Yeah. In fact, I don't see why not. There's a whole damn jar of them right there.
Exactly.
Why just give me one? It's like,
So
yeah.
so again, that giving permission. So oftentimes when we're working with people, and again, when I was working with myself initially on this, the question is, how do I love myself? Since we grew up, we got love confused with things that could be harmful. And what the I give myself permission term taught me is that's unconditional love. How do I love myself unconditionally? Well, let's just start here. I give myself permission to not know how to love myself.
Right. Yes.
There's an act of love.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
we can work from there. So that's again the again, whether that's Donovan, egoic human being, or the universe channeled through John Donovan, came up with I give myself permission terminology. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, neither do I. Wherever it works, it works.
It
It works
really,
really well.
really works. And it works on all these multiple layers,
Mm-hmm.
because I can use it, like I said, to go to the feeling. Okay, so how do I feel when I give myself that permission? And then I can move right into the accountability tree and stay with the feeling and use the feeling as the doorway. So you put it down in imagination, inspiration, intuition. The doorway to what do I want comes
Yes.
from imagination, inspiration, intuition. Because the other thing I learned to do from in our early work in the men's group, initially when you would ask that question, I would like jump to my head. What do I want? Oh, I want a new car, or I want something external. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it was, what the intuition or the grace was, but I remember sitting in the meeting once, and either you asked me or you asked somebody else, and I'm listening to the other person, and I thought, I'm not going to try to answer that question. I'm going to let my body give me the answer. I'm going to just sit and quiet and see what shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had to sit long.
No.
Like I'm talking 2-3 seconds max.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would ask my body, and if I could do it, if I could really move my focus to the part of my body that was feeling in the first
Mm-hmm.
part of the exercise, what are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling upset, agitated, whatever. And it was almost always right here or right under my solar plexus. If I could keep my focus on the physical sensation, I could actually say to the sensation, well, what do you want? And I would get, I want love. I want peace. I want ease.
And that's what I'm seeing now and articulating now, the portal to imagination, inspiration, intuition.
Exactly.
I need to take a small break here for a minute, so if we could,
All right.
and I'll be okay. We're
So
back.
we had to take a little break there. So um,
We were on a roll, Marty.
yeah, we were.
We were on a roll about feeling body portal,
Right.
motion, imagination, inspiration. Yeah. And that break disrupted that flow. So here we are doing the best we can with what we got.
Yes, but it's all in divine order. So
Yeah.
maybe something else is trying to be born here. So that's
Yeah. That's good.
so so let's go back to the beginning. So we started the conversation with your insight that you formulated as emotions and feelings are the portal to imagination, inspiration, intuition, and that feeling body initiates transmission. So I actually wanted to get to this way back in the beginning. So this is my opportunity
Mm-hmm.
because we've had many podcasts where we've talked about the essential importance of the feeling body.
Mm-hmm.
This is yet another insight, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to I mean, maybe it's a bit sophisticated for the newcomer, and for that, just hang in with us. Um, and we were talking before the break about, the difficulty I had in getting to my feeling body and how many people have that challenge when they first start doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and part of it is the it's the adrenaline factor. It's that adrenaline, as we've talked about before, mimics feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So, so for example, one of the items on the laundry list of adult children of alcoholics, if you experience three or more of these, and there's 14 of them, you just might be an adult child of alcoholics. So one of them is addicted to excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And excitement is usually initiated by adrenaline.
Yes.
And so this might be a good place to talk about the distinction between authentic feeling and those feelings or sensations that are generated by adrenaline,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
if you would.
Yeah. So adrenaline is our innate ability to act in a acute crisis situation. And back in the ancient days, the saber-toothed tiger. So a guy's walking along, he hears a twig snap. He's like beating feet. He's like 200 yards away. Before he realizes that he's 200 yards away, that he made that choice to run, which was sage. But he connected the twig snap situation to danger. And so his adrenaline kicked in. He didn't go into his judgmental, emotional self, like, how do I feel right now?
Right.
He didn't go, oh, that's that saber-tooth tiger, that asshole. He's trying to get me again. He didn't go into his judgment. He left. He went into an adrenaline rush. And that's the purpose of adrenaline, is to get us out of our emotional bodies, feeling bodies, into a reactive stance, and actually out of our rational mind, that we can do this, we can't do this, we can jump over things we didn't know we could jump over, or jump into things we didn't know we could jump into, based on the power of adrenaline. And I say it mimics feeling because our heart races, our arms are charged, we have sensations in our body, and they're adrenaline induced for survival: fight, flight, freeze, please. They get us ready to be in one of these postures for our survival. Now, in modern times, say I have an unresolved trauma from my childhood, somebody rolled their eyes at me, and then I got chastised, hit, or ostracized. Go to your room. So now I'm in a group full of people. Somebody rolled, and people I love, people I trust, people I want to be with. Somebody rolls their eyes, and I go right into judgment, like, what the hell are you rolling your eyes about? What is it about me? And I take it personal, or I get an anxiety attack, and I want to leave the room. I don't understand why. Adrenaline. That rolled your eyes is significant. The subconscious is waiting for somebody to roll their eyes, because when that happened in my childhood, I got something happened to me, which in my childhood was life threatening. To be ostracized as a 3-year-old is like, what do you do with that? You got wrap your mind around, go to your room, nobody's there, and you're in this turmoil with no guidance, or somebody mirroring for you what's going on. that's a death sentence. So rolling maybe the reaction, I don't see a saber-tooth tiger, and I'm in a reactive space where my behavior is not in alignment with the situation. So the event, somebody rolling their eyes is probably a 0.2, I don't know. But I take it up to, on a scale of 1 to 10, I take it to a 7, 8. And I don't understand why, because it's subconscious trauma. And I have no idea what it is. That rolling the eyes created a feeling tone in me that initiated adrenaline, and I was in a protective, defensive mode. And then after it was all done, I had to explain rationally to people, why did you walk out of the room and slam the door when the guy told the joke? It's like, well, then I gotta come up with a reason. It's either, well, I take it personal, he did that to me, or there must be something wrong with me. I must be defective. My mom was right. I'm defective. There's something wrong with me. I just can't handle just normal people. Whatever the story is, and then it compounds because I haven't addressed the trauma, because I don't even know it's trauma. And the situation around what? No, I'm a grown man. I can defend myself. I can say no. But all this stuff goes out the window. Or I could say I'm nervous, or I could say I'm uncomfortable, and I don't know why, and which I do now, and express the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of, oh, I've come to recognize adrenaline. I'm in an adrenaline rush. Nice deep breath, because that tells my body that I'm safe. Because if I'm breathing normally, that means danger's gone. And I take a breath. Sometimes I used to say when I was first doing this, I'm not going to die. I'm okay. And then okay. That was a trigger. And there was something in my subconscious that this little child saw as a threat, so I can address it. I feel anxiety. I feel anxiety. And just allow myself to feel anxiety, big as a tree. Oh, I intend to heal. I intend to nurture myself. I intend to be kind to myself through this process, this crazy making process. Yeah. So,
So thanks for that, because there's 2 points I'd like to um, elaborate on. One is that that clearing breath that you just talked about. There is a way to get past adrenaline to authentic feeling, because
yes,
the feeling's there. I mean, adrenaline causes the vibrational tension thing, just like fear does.
yes,
And so the ability to be able to distinguish, and it's not intellectual, at least until I take the breath.
mm-hmm.
And I the first time I've ever heard you use the formulations, which I really appreciate, it's like, if I'm breathing normally, I'm not in danger. Well, that's good. That's a good insight, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other point I wanted to make with it is that our challenge is that we live in a culture that loves to push the adrenaline button.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, it's like, so I don't watch TV anymore because I just I didn't like having the adrenaline button pushed by every commercial that showed up. But like
Yeah,
every once in a while, like, in preparation for the Super Bowl this weekend, the commercials are all this like high energy, loud, um,
yeah,
adrenaline inducing.
yeah, yeah,
But like most commercials are the same thing, or
yeah,
the news is the same way. The
yeah.
world's coming to an end. This is the hottest summer we've ever had. We're all going to burn up. We no longer have rain anymore. We have cyclone bombs and atmospheric rivers. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And 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 as with all addictions, you have to keep hyping it up in order to get the same effect.
Yep.
And so part of our challenge in recovery, I share with people, is that, you know, the value of going into a group setting is that you get to step outside of that culture temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise it's like swimming upstream. It's very difficult to have recovery in a culture that doesn't want us to have recovery. Um, and go you for an hour, and a half, 2 hours, you're in a meeting, you're in that restorative culture, you're in
Yes.
um, that loving, compassionate culture that says step outside of the craziness. We're going to ultimately befriend the craziness out there by befriending the craziness in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's just the other thing is that we just wanted to point out our culture is addicted to adrenaline, or inducing adrenaline, and
Mhm.
if we're not aware of it, we're going to be easily sucked into it.
See, that's what intention. That's in me presenting the basic material. I explain what I call the logistics of avoidant behavior, whether it's codependency, addiction, workaholic. What happens? And what sequence does this happen? And through what part of my body? Memory, the iceberg, 9/10 subconscious. We don't know what it is, and we find ourselves in this pattern. We still don't know what it is, but we do know that whatever's in the subconscious is creating this pattern. Okay, so we follow it through from initiation to action, and what happens? It goes through the reticular activating system, this filter that says, if somebody rolls their eyes, run. Which is subconscious, and then it's hooked right into the survival mechanism, same place where the adrenaline pumps out of our top of our kidneys, and we're in this frenzy and we don't know why. And then again, we have to explain it. Oh, I don't have to explain that now. I can tell you because we have this dialogue of this language. Oh, I was just in an adrenaline rush. I got triggered. Somebody said something. Somebody moved in a certain way in the group that to this subconscious pull of information was threatening, and I can feel it go through my body. It's like, oh, and then I'm not going to die, or I shake my hands, or I move, or I take a deep breath, because I know the breath is a signal to the body I'm okay. Not breathing or breathing real fast is a reactionary response. Now, there are times where I may need that. I'm not saying it's bad. It's all bad. There must be like somebody slamming through the door with a knife. I need to be breathing real fast and either running towards with some kind of object in my hand or running away. That's okay. So it's not bad only when there's no deadly danger and I'm in this frenzy reactive place. And I can, oh, okay. And the practice of accountability, the practice of owning my violence, of owning my addiction, owning my codependency, owning the behaviors or the patterns of behaviors like being mean or violent, change in that unconditional place. I'm mean, I'm violent. Yeah, yes, I am. Oh my God. And I intend to be violent free. I intend to live in peace. And again, that imprint goes into the subconscious. It not only imprints, but it validates those little incidents, which are legion, to move me towards mean because mean is safe. People stay away. Oh, oh, that hurts. It's destructive. I'm alone, and I'm dangerous to myself and the people around me, and it works. So I don't want to live that way anymore. I intend to be kind. I intend to be violent free. I intend to know myself. I intend to tell as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time because this shit rocks and I want other people to rock it. Let's rock it. Let's do this. So,
It's interesting. One of the metaphors that I use in describing this process is that our traumatized little kids um, that the emotional body came first. So the emotional response came first. The defense at an emotional level came first. And then at age 4, age 5, we've been around language long enough. We start talking, and we start
mm-hmm,
talking in sentences, and our talking has been trained by our emotions.
mm-hmm,
So automatically, we were talking about this at the top of the podcast, our feelings and our thoughts work together to continue to support that defense mechanism, that
Hmm.
thing that keeps me safe when the eyes roll.
Right.
And so until there's something that can intervene to say, well, whoa, maybe there's another thing going on here. We're just, I did that for decades upon decades in my teens, my 20s, my 30s. I first started ACA in my end of my 30s. So for 40 years, every single day I was reinforcing this other way of being. Or the metaphor is the little kid was in charge.
Yes.
The
Yep.
little kid was in charge, and the adult would just go along with them. Recovery is in part about becoming an adult and creating a different relationship with that little kid, because that little kid really doesn't want to be in charge.
No.
It was unfair of what was done to us, or what we did to our children, to force
Hmm.
them to be adults long before they're ready to be adults.
Yep.
That is, that we forced them to take care of themselves.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
so now we're in the process of untangling